What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Kennesaw, Georgia is really becoming one of Atlanta's most popular suburbs. So many people are moving there lately, but the thing is that Kennesaw has some really big red flags. So let's talk about what it's really like to live in Kennesaw, Georgia. Kennesaw is located in the northwest part of Metro Atlanta. It's in Cobb County. Also in Cobb County are cities like Marietta and Ackworth. And so it's a very popular county, and Kennesaw is just kind of like on the western part of Cobb County. So it's a bit farther away from the city of Atlanta. It's a bit more like rural, or a bit more less densely populated than Marietta. Marietta is a bit busier. Alpharetta is a bit busier. Kennesaw is a bit on the slower side. It's a bit not as populated as those other two cities. So it has a little bit of a different feel. Really, one of the biggest things that is a big draw for many people who live there is that quiet, small town feel. And Kennesaw certainly has that. It's great. It's a very quiet community. There's little to no crime in the city of Kennesaw. And so it's a great suburb to live in. Some of the main roads that go through Kennesaw are Barrett Parkway, which is really like where the majority of the commercial spaces are, right there on Barrett Parkway. So you're going to be able to find some of the big box stores there on Barrett, like Home Depot, Target, lots of restaurants. There's really a whole lot of stores and restaurants there, but there's also some neighborhoods off of Barrett Parkway. But the thing about Barrett is that it gets really congested. So something to think about if you're in Kennesaw, or you're thinking about living or moving to Kennesaw, is that Barrett Parkway has a lot of traffic very often because there's so many things on that road. And then some other roads that go through Kennesaw are the interstate system, goes kind of along the side of Kennesaw. This is convenient for being able to get to and from Atlanta quickly. And then in downtown Kennesaw, you have Kennesaw Due West and Main Street go through downtown Kennesaw. So these are like the main roads and where you're going to find the majority of the development in Kennesaw, Georgia. Also, the schools in Kennesaw are great as well. The public school system is, for the most part, like an 8 out of 10. I think there is 1 or 2 public schools there in Kennesaw that are a 9 out of 10. So being part of Cobb County in general means that they're going to have very good schools in the city of Kennesaw. And that's certainly another draw for many people who live in that city. And then average home values in Kennesaw are right around 400, 425. And this is kind of nice, especially when neighboring Marietta, the average home value is about 475, or Alpharetta, where the average home value is 800,000. So having lower cost of living in the city of Kennesaw is a big plus. The amount of buyer competition in Kennesaw is about the same as Marietta. It's about 6 to 7 days on market for the average listing. So about equal to Marietta, but the buyer competition in Kennesaw is far less than cities like Alpharetta or Suwanee. This is super important because in Kennesaw, it's less likely to end up in a multiple offer situation where you're competing with other buyers and potentially overpricing or over offering for a home. So this is kind of nice that it's not so competitive like some of the other cities. And while it's rural and it's kind of a smaller town, it is part of Cobb County. So everything that you might need is there within Kennesaw or very close to Kennesaw. Like, you don't have to drive to the city of Atlanta for like important day-to-day activities or to run daily errands or anything like that. Everything can be found in Kennesaw or pretty close, especially since Marietta neighbors Kennesaw, and Marietta is one of the largest suburbs of Atlanta. If you can't find it in Kennesaw, you're most likely going to be able to find it in the city of Marietta. So overall, Kennesaw has a lot of great things going for it. And like I said, it's becoming very popular and a lot of people are moving there. But there are some things about Kennesaw that don't really fit the criteria for everybody. And if you're thinking about moving to the city of Kennesaw, there are some things that you should know about that could really derail your home buying process in Kennesaw, or make your lifestyle not quite what you want if you're wanting to move to Kennesaw. So let's talk about some of the downsides and some of the red flags of living in the city of Kennesaw. One of the most surprising things about living in Kennesaw is that there is a law in the city of Kennesaw that every household must own a firearm. This is not a joke. This is a law that was put into place, I believe, in the 70s or 80s. And back then, they felt like it would make the city of Kennesaw safer if everybody knew that it was a law for every household to own a firearm. And this is really a law in Kennesaw. However, I have family that lives in Kennesaw, and I know that they don't own a firearm, and they're not ever like in trouble. It's not a law that is enforced. It's not like the police are coming door to door making sure that you own a firearm in Kennesaw, but it is a law. And this has led to the crime rate being very low. There's almost no crime in the city of Kennesaw. So this is something you should know if you're thinking about moving to Kennesaw. To some people, that is very surprising and is a very big red flag that it's required to own a gun there. One downside about living in Kennesaw, Georgia, is that there's really not a whole lot to do there. There are not any kind of super interesting, active things to do. Like there's no stadiums or super exciting tourist attractions in the city of Kennesaw. It's kind of a smaller town, and people don't really come to Kennesaw to find excitement. Really, people come to Kennesaw to get the family-friendly kind of suburban environment. So if you're looking for super fun things to do, Kennesaw is not really the place for that. When it comes to living in Atlanta, one major red flag for many people is how far it is from the city of Atlanta. If you live in Kennesaw and work in the city of Atlanta, your daily commute could be as much as 1 hour one way. So getting from Kennesaw to Atlanta in the morning in rush hour traffic, you could very well expect a 1 hour commute, and then back out to the suburbs to Kennesaw from Atlanta in the evening times, another 1 hour commute. So that distance from Kennesaw to Atlanta is really a deal breaker for many people who are considering moving to the metro Atlanta area. One thing about Kennesaw that you definitely need to know about is that the city of Kennesaw is not like many of the other suburbs of Atlanta. It's much more of a country feel. It's much more of like a small town feel. There are lots of trees in Kennesaw because there's so much undeveloped land in the city of Kennesaw. The majority of the landscape of that city is pine trees everywhere in this city. So that really kind of dominates the feel of the city of Kennesaw, and it feels more like being in the woods. It feels more like being in a small town. So that, for a lot of people, is a red flag when it comes to living in Kennesaw, Georgia. So while the city of Kennesaw has a lot of downsides and has some major red flags, it's not all bad in the city of Kennesaw. There really are a lot of benefits to living there. And one of those benefits is the downtown area. The downtown part of Kennesaw is a great place to hang out. There are lots of shops and restaurants there in downtown Kennesaw, and there's no like big box stores in downtown Kennesaw. It's a very local, authentic, genuine feeling kind of downtown area. You're not going to find like Target or Applebee's or anything like that in downtown Kennesaw. You're going to find local mom and pop shops, mom and pop coffee shops and restaurants, and local vendors who are selling their homemade goods there. Like that's really what downtown Kennesaw is like. And all of these shops are all within walking distance. So you can like park close or in downtown Kennesaw, and you can walk around to all these shops and check them all out. It's a great place to spend time. If you're ever in the city of Kennesaw and you want to really get a good feel for what that city is like, checking out the downtown area is a great idea. Also keep in mind that Kennesaw State University is in the city of Kennesaw, but I wouldn't describe it as a college town. It's not like there are so many college students that it's like a party town. Some people might disagree with me, but again, I live very close to Kennesaw. I have family that lives in Kennesaw, and I'm there regularly, and I don't ever really feel that kind of college town vibe. There's not like a whole bunch of kids causing problems in the city of Kennesaw, but there is a university there. So for many people, being able to have their student or their child go to this university is a huge convenience, and you're not having to pay out of state tuition. You can be local. So having the university in the city of Kennesaw is a major benefit for living in the city. So certainly a lot of good and a lot of bad when it comes to living in Kennesaw. If you want to know a more extensive list of pros and cons of living in Kennesaw, Georgia, check out this video. I'll see you there.